Your Excellency, President John Dramani Mahama, my dearest brother and friend, and you must also know that when I was actually campaigning to be president of the African Development Bank, he was the first president outside of Nigeria to support my nomination for that job. Thank you very much, sir. Your Excellency Ian Khama, former president of Botswana from 2008 to 2018, and you also have some part of you in Nigeria, and you told me you live in Ikeja, and they used to call you Oyibo, so I will still call you President Oyibo today. Moses Siasia, founder and chairman of Africa Heritage Awards, past and present recipients of the African Heritage Awards, distinguished guests, friends, ladies and gentlemen, and of course, my beloved, beautiful, elegant, and precious wife, Grace. Good evening. It is such a profound honor to stand at this moment, not only to humbly receive a recognition, but I've been asked to also spend some time to reflect on the continent in motion. So I'll do that. Let me begin by thanking the African Heritage Awards for what you truly represent. The recognition of African excellence, African dignity, and African possibility. Because when Africa is recognized, Africa is not only celebrated, it is elevated. Your Excellency, President Mahama, I thank you sincerely for your leadership and gracious hospitality. You represent a form of leadership that understands a simple truth, that nations ascend when leaders inspire confidence in possibility. Please give it up to this president. And under your bold, purposeful, and transformative leadership, Ghana continues to stand as a beacon of stability, of pride, and Pan-African purpose. And you are at the United Nations. We couldn't have stood prouder behind you. You made us so proud, Mr. President. Please give it up to him. It is fitting, therefore, that we gather here in Ghana, the land of Kwame Nkrumah, where the dream of African unity was never a memory, but a mission. From this land, right here out of Ghana, Africa has always moved forward. And I must say to you all, friends, today, that Africa is ascending. I congratulate all the African Heritage Award recipients. Well done. Tonight, you are not just being honored, you are being recognized as evidence that Africa is already producing its own future. Congratulations again. I'm deeply humbled to receive this African Lifetime Achievement Award. I am grateful to the African Heritage Awards. Thank you, Moses. Thank you very, very much. But I must say this with clarity. I do not serve Africa for applause. I serve Africa as a mission. Serving Africa is a lifetime calling. Even though I stepped down, my time finished at African Development Bank, that passion continues. It's a calling and it continues. Because I remain absolutely optimistic about Africa's future, not out of sentiment, but out of evidence. The International Monetary Fund projects that Africa will record approximately 4.2% real GDP growth in 2026, making it the fastest growing region in the world. More importantly, this is not an isolated event. This is not an isolated moment. This is not a blip. This is part of a sustained trajectory where Africa is expected to remain among the fastest growing regions globally for the first time ever for the next 4 consecutive years. This is therefore not a cyclical recovery. It is a structural re-evaluation. Africa is not just growing. Africa is compounding, and the world is recognizing that. We already see this shift in what we call the African champions. Mr. President, today, Dangote Group has the largest petroleum refinery in the world and has stepped up to secure Africa's capacity to meet its own fuel needs in the midst of the global supply shocks. The MTN Group has become a globally recognized asset from Africa. The Safaricom Group has the world's largest mobile phone payment system. The Jumia Group has become the first fintech company out of Africa to be listed on the New York Stock Exchange. These are not exceptions. They are signals of scale, of resilience, and of readiness. Africa is no longer a promise. Africa is not potential. Africa is an investable reality. Africa is inevitable. Africa holds today 30% of the world's known critical mineral reserves, resources essential for the world's energy transition. Yet it receives only 5% of global investment flows into those sectors. That gap is not risk. It is simply mispricing. Across energy, infrastructure, transport, digital systems, ports, rails, and natural capital, Africa holds today sovereign assets of extraordinary scale. But scale, Your Excellencies, is not enough. What Africa needs is structure, governance, and trust. Because Africa does not lack assets, Africa lacks platforms that would allow it to unlock those assets at scale. And that is why I and Marjorie Krause, the chairman of APCO Worldwide, together co-founded the Global Africa Investment Summit, otherwise called GAIS, G-A-I-S, for which I am the executive chairman. I wish to immensely thank you, Mr. President, President Mahama, for being a champion for GAIS and for attending the launch of GAIS in Dubai earlier this year, despite your very hectic schedule. Thank you very much, Mr. President. GAIS is not an event. It is a global platform of trust for investors on our continent. It connects sovereign assets with global institutional capital, pension funds, sovereign wealth funds, asset managers, not for isolated deals, but for structured, long-term capital development. It is disciplined. It is selective. It is investment grade. And let me be clear, this is not about aid. This is not about sentiment. This is not about charity. This is Africa being looked at from the investment side as the alpha in the world. So let me leave you with this. Africa is now waiting to be discovered. Africa is already participating in shaping the global future. The question is no longer whether Africa will ascend. The question is whether the world is ready for Africa that has already ascended. And today, as I think about that and the award that you've given me today, I do not stand here alone. I stand on the foundations of many lives, sacrifices, and acts of grace for whom I wish to say today, thank you. To my late parents, Roland and Eunice Adesina, who gave me values before opportunity. To my teachers and professors, who gave me knowledge before recognition. To my mentors, especially here, Kofi Annan from Ghana, who showed me that leadership is about service, not status. To the leaders of my own home country, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, my president for life, President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, President Muhammadu Buhari, President Olusegun Obasanjo, and heads of states of our country, Generals Yakubu Gowon, General Abdulsalami Abubakar, General Ibrahim Babangida, and Vice Presidents Kashim Shettima, Atiku Abubakar, Namadi Sambo, and Yemi Osinbajo for the opportunity and support that you provided me to serve Nigeria, Africa, and the world. To my colleagues at the Ministry of Agriculture and our partners in Nigeria in the banking sector, together we transform agriculture. We impacted the lives of over 15 million farmers, and we helped to feed a nation with pride. And the head of service of Nigeria is here. And I want to recognize two of the people in the civil service when I was minister. They are here today. My permanent secretary is Sonny Echono. If he's here, please rise up and please give it up to him. And the director of finance when I was minister, Idris Maman. That tells you the quality of people. We couldn't have succeeded without these people. So I always say, Echono is my permanent secretary for life, and Idris Mama is my director of finance for life. To the African Development Bank Group, and I have many of my staff and colleagues here today, and the governments of 81 shareholder countries who believed in us and in our mission, we increased the capital of the bank from $93 billion to $318 billion, and we transformed the lives of 565 million people all across Africa. To you, my friends, who believe in me, who support me and never leave my side, who make sure I never walk alone. And to my family, my children, Rotimi and Shegun, their wives, Alex and Emily, my 6 grandchildren, and above all, my dearest wife, Grace, my jewel, my strength, my anchor, and my partner for 42 years. Let me close, because when you are given an honor, you have to dedicate it. But as I said, I didn't come get here alone. I'd like to dedicate this honor to my home country, Nigeria. Not simply as a nation on a map, but as a nation that carried me when I was young, shaped me when I was forming, and trusted me when it mattered most. Nigeria gave me my beginning. It gave me the opportunity when opportunity was not guaranteed. It gave me platforms when platforms were rare. It gave me responsibility when responsibility was heavy. In every season of my service, Nigeria was not behind me, it was within me. Because you do not outgrow the country that formed you. You only learn to serve it more deeply, more wisely, and more completely. So this honor returns home. Please, can I get that so I can show that actually I got an honor here, and I want to give it back? So actually, you get back. So Nigeria, this is yours as much as it is mine. This is not as a repayment, because what was given can never be fully repaid, but as gratitude expressed through service and multiplied through impact. And I carry this not as a crown, but as a reminder that service is the highest form of loyalty and contribution, the purest form of patriotism. To Africa, to the young boy and girl in a village with no certainty, fulfill dreams, to the mother who builds hope from hardship, to the young entrepreneur who sees opportunity where others see limitation. This moment also belongs to you. I will live as an African. I will die as an African. And on the day of resurrection, I'll ask God for permission to resurrect as an African. Above all, I would like to thank God Almighty for grace that He gave that carried me, for the wisdom that continues to guide me, and for the purpose that He calls me forward. To Him belongs all the glory and all the honor. I dedicate this honor to Africa itself, not as she was, not even as she is, but as she is destined to be. May God bless you all. Thank you very much, African Heritage Awards. May God bless Africa, and may the light of Africa shine brighter than ever before. Thank you very much.